Sunday morning. With us to give us a financial report is John Terrett. John, it seems to be a good week this week.
Well, it certainly was, wasn't it? With the S&P 500 crossing over 7,000 for the very first time midweek and then staying there. And ending last week ahead by 3% for 3 weeks in a row. Now, that is unheard of. No one has ever heard of that happening in our lifetimes. And the reason is investors are looking past the war and acting as if it wasn't happening at all. And indeed, they saw an end to the war as early as midway through last week. They're looking instead at corporate earnings, which are up about 15% in the first quarter so far, including the big banks, which did very well, especially Morgan Stanley, turning in $1 billion more in trading revenue than Wall Street had anticipated. So a good week and a good day on Friday for the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P. Oil crashing. I know you wrote to me on Friday morning and said oil is crashing, and so it was, down by between 10 and 13%, because also on Friday we learned from the Iranian foreign minister that the Strait of Hormuz is now open, although I think it's only partially open. Between you and me, that's just my opinion. President Trump backed that up as well. He said that the Iranians had agreed to basically be very careful about any uranium enrichment that they might do in the future, and in fact had agreed to an unlimited suspension of it. We knew on Friday there were talks planned for Pakistan over the weekend, although the Iranians did say that the U.S. blockade of the strait was a violation of any ceasefire. So we'll see how it plays out in the course of the next week. Corporate news was amazing with a capital A. How about Netflix? Second quarter miss as far as Wall Street is concerned, and Reed Hastings, the guy who co-founded the company, exiting his position as chairman of the board in June. Netflix was down about 8% on that news, and then down 9% on Friday. United Airlines boss apparently floated a merger with American Airlines in the White House a couple of weeks ago, according to Bloomberg. If this happens, they'll control 1/3 of all air travel and be the biggest airline on the planet. On the other side of the coin, Spirit Airlines is facing liquidation because of very high fuel costs because of the Iran situation. A federal jury found Live Nation liable of manipulating ticket prices. A breakup is on the cards if a judge decides so, but don't expect ticket prices to come down anytime soon. They are going to appeal this for a very, very long time. The big surprising story of the week was Allbirds from California. They make shoes. Wool Runner, Tree Runner, Canvas Breeze are their top brands, but they're coming out of shoes. In fact, they've sold the business and going instead into AI. They've renamed the company, and the stock was up 650% one day last week, although it was down a bit towards the end of the week, and then I think back up on Friday. Mark Mobius, who I'm sure you know, John, 89 years old, the man who brought emerging markets investment to Wall Street, he passed away last week. And Kevin Walsh, who is the tip to be the new Fed chair, turns out he has a lot of crypto exposure in his personal finances. He's revealed that, of course, as he has to, before appearing before the Senate Banking Committee for hopefully confirmation on Tuesday. And John, in the week ahead, more big corporate earnings for the first quarter, Tesla, Boeing, and Intel among them. John.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you again next week. And I hope next week is a better week.
It couldn't be much better than it has been this week, but yeah, fingers crossed. Thank you, John.